Welcome back, Gumball fans! Gumball Watterson has faced a lot of things in his life, such as giant bananas, evil school principals, alternate dimensions, and even sentient toast. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could prepare him for this. His best friend, his brother, his ride or die, Darwin, dating an undead ghost girl. That's right, in Season 6, Episode 29, The Drama, Gumball faces the unthinkable. Darwin falls head over heels for Carrie, the floating, pale, and perpetually gothic ghost of Elmore. And what starts as a teenage love story quickly spirals into paranoia, jealousy, and full-blown supernatural chaos. Grab some popcorn and relax, because this is the Amazing World of Gumball like you've never seen it before. The episode kicks off with Darwin and Carrie enjoying their blossoming relationship. Despite their differences, Darwin, being a lively fish, and Carrie, a 327-year-old ghost, their bond seems unbreakable.
What a beautiful, peaceful place.
Through your eyes, maybe.
Why do you say that?
Don't you know this park was built on an ancient burial ground?
They share laughs, go on dates, and even indulge in quirky activities like Carrie possessing Darwin to experience the joys of eating. However, not everyone is thrilled about this paranormal pairing. Leslie and Masami, the gossip mongers, plant seeds of doubts in Gumball's mind.
Darwin and Carrie's relationship is going so well, something must be going wrong.
They suggest that the relationship is too perfect, prompting Gumball to question its authenticity. Now, let's back up for a second. Darwin and Carrie's relationship has technically been canon for quite some time. We've seen hints, small jokes, and lighthearted moments scattered throughout the series, like in episodes such as The Deal and The Best, but those moments never really dive deep into their relationship. They're more like passing gags than sincere character development.
I don't get it. When you're at the party and you've got to stop Faye from disappearing like the island of Luis in St. Peter's flood?
So, for fans who care about continuity or emotional stakes, it creates a weird sense of distance, like this huge shift in Darwin's life and, by extension, Gumball's, has been hiding in plain sight, just waiting to be acknowledged. And that's exactly why the drama feels like it has so much writing on it. More than just another quirky episode, it carries the pressure of all the emotional groundwork the show never laid. It is supposed to be the moment where everything clicks, where Gumball finally reacts, reflects, and maybe even reconciles with the idea that Darwin is growing up and growing closer to someone else. But here's the catch. The drama doesn't really go as deep as it could. Instead of taking a magnifying glass to Darwin and Carrie's relationship, how it works and what it means,
Please continue. I can still see, but I don't mind.
the episode focuses on Gumball's perception of it. That's not a bad angle necessarily. In fact, it's a very Gumball approach, chaotic, self-centered, and hilariously dramatic. But it also means the emotional weight is filtered entirely through his personal bias. Darwin and Carrie aren't explored as a couple. They're more like background characters in Gumball's growing paranoia. That approach actually makes a lot of sense, given how the show's treated their relationship so far. We, as the audience, haven't seen much of it either, so it tracks that Gumball wouldn't understand it. What he does understand is that something feels off. He's losing Darwin. He's being replaced. And even though he can't articulate it, that emotional dissonance plays out through increasingly exaggerated reactions.
The 90s were about floppy hair people dressing like children in grunge music.
It meant the 1690s.
Wait, how old are you exactly?
But because the episode hinges entirely on Gumball's feelings, Darwin and Carrie don't really drive the plot. They're not the emotional center. They're the trigger for Gumball's spiral. That's a subtle but important distinction. It means the episode isn't about them. It's about him. So instead of feeling like we're witnessing a heartfelt examination of young love or sibling jealousy, we're watching Gumball loop in a situation that hasn't developed on screen.
The age difference is gonna tear them apart like a dysfunctional family on a camping trip that forgets to put their food in Ziploc bags and gets attacked by a bear.
Oh well, it's so sweet that you waited for me all those...
and when he eventually snaps or reaches his breaking point, it feels more like a punchline than a resolution. Ultimately, the drama lands in an awkward middle ground. It's fun, sure, it's got that signature Gumball humor and charm, but it doesn't quite earn the emotional payoff it's reaching for, because so little has been done to build up the Darwin-Carrie relationship in a meaningful way. The episode wants to reaffirm that they're a couple, without showing us what that relationship looks like beyond the surface. In a show that's done such a brilliant job satirizing relationships, family dynamics, and emotional maturity, it's a little disappointing to see such a huge shift treated so lightly. This episode is a reminder of how rarely the show peeks behind the curtain of its characters' inner lives, and how powerful it could be when it finally does.
True love broke the spell. Come on, say something.
The episode leans into this contrast for comedic effect, and it works. We see Darwin jamming out to a peppy band called the Lolly Puppies, while Carrie casually listens to the Profanities, a group whose music sounds like someone with no head is shouting Swedish furniture names directly from their windpipe. It's over the top, in the best way. Another moment has Darwin delighted in a sunny, breezy afternoon, while Carrie interprets the same setting as a haunted burial ground, where the cries of the dead echo in the wind. Despite all that, the two genuinely enjoy each other's company. Each scene acts as a kind of mini vignette that subtly shows how chemistry can exist, even when compatibility seems impossible on paper. But here's where things get complicated, and well, where Gumball comes in. The entire episode is framed from his perspective, and from his point of view, it's not about why Darwin and Carrie work, it's about how they even ended up together in the first place.
Do something? Or we could go somewhere else sometime and do some other thing.
They both sound great.
Hold on a second.
He doesn't see their sweet chemistry. He sees the absurdity, the imbalance, the threat to the life he's used to. For Gumball, Carrie is the symbol of change, and change is terrifying. To really push that fear into overdrive, the show introduces a new character, Carrie's ex-boyfriend, Azrael, a tortured, brooding soul who literally lives inside a Hieronymus Bosch painting. Because, of course he does. He's the walking embodiment of surreal romantic trauma, and his arrival gives Gumball something to point to. See, Carrie is bad news! Azrael becomes the narrative tool that allows Gumball to justify his doubts. But while Azrael is mildly amusing and visually striking, his presence doesn't feel entirely earned. Let's be honest, Azrael exists mostly to push the plot forward. He doesn't develop Carrie's character in any meaningful way, nor does he shed new light on her relationship with Darwin. His role is to make Gumball's skepticism feel more valid, at least temporarily. And that's a bit of a missed opportunity. Yes, he's more than a one-dimensional ex, and sure, he's not completely unlikable, but the fact that he's so obviously a narrative convenience makes his inclusion feel forced. He's not a naturally integrated part of the story. He's a plot button. Now, right after he had his doubts, Gumball, driven by concern or perhaps jealousy, embarks on a mission to uncover flaws in Darwin and Carrie's relationship. He observes their interactions, noting differences in age, interests, and even metaphysical existence. Carrie's revelation of her centuries-old age and past relationship with a ghost named Azrael only fuels Gumball's apprehensions.
How's your mum?
Oh, I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Anyway, it was great to see you. Catch you next century?
Next century isn't good for me. Maybe the one after that?
The plot thickens when Carrie bumps into her ex-boyfriend Azrael. Their friendly banter and shared history unsettle Gumball, who fears that Darwin might be left brokenhearted. This encounter serves as a catalyst for Gumball's escalating interference, culminating in a dramatic attempt to rescue Darwin from a potential heartbreak. In a comedic yet intense sequence, Gumball and Darwin race to the cemetery to confront Carrie and Azrael. Gumball's over-the-top antics, including riding a dolphin man and leaping across clouds, highlight his desperation. However, upon arrival, they find Carrie and Azrael parting amicably, debunking Gumball's fears.
You're supposed to help them find happiness, not ruin their chances.
Come here.
Wait, how can we know so much about all this?
There once...
After all of that, it turns out that there was nothing for Gumball to worry about. There's no new information presented, but it's at least a nice way to close everything out. Realizing his mistake, Gumball apologizes to Darwin and Carrie, acknowledging that his doubts were unfounded and influenced by external gossip. The episode concludes with Gumball literally kicking doubt away, symbolizing his commitment to trust and the strength of Darwin and Carrie's relationship. The drama masterfully explores themes of trust and security and the complexities of relationships. It satirizes the tendency to overanalyze and interfere in others' affairs, reminding viewers of the importance of communication and understanding.
Well, bye.
Bye.
Unless you're hungry.
Not really. What was left of that candy looked pretty well digested.
Oh, right.
The personification of doubt serves as a clever narrative device, illustrating how internal fears can distort perception. Gumball's journey from a meddling skeptic to a supportive friend showcases significant character development. His actions, though misguided, stem from genuine concern, and his eventual acceptance of Darwin and Carrie's relationship reflects maturity. Similarly, Darwin's unwavering trust in Carrie highlights his emotional intelligence and depth. While I expect plenty of uncritical praise for the drama across the internet,
Is it wrong for a punk rock chick who lives in a haunted, malevolent mansion to be touched by the magical friendship of a pony?
No. But could you tell your pet to stop rubbing itself on?
it's ultimately a weak episode that doesn't do anything particularly interesting. And with this being the show's final season, it doesn't leave much hope that Darwin and Carrie's relationship will develop. It also continues the frustrating pattern of using Darwin as little more than a prop for Gumball to bounce off of, with Gumball once again steering the episode's direction. In the end, the drama isn't quite damage control, but it feels like the show is tossing a bone, hitting a few nice moments, but lacking a compelling journey to tie them all together. Gumball is undeniably funny here, with some of the best lines in the episode, and Nicholas does a fantastic job with his delivery. While the animation shift at the climax feels somewhat arbitrary, it adds that visually creative flair the show is known for. And the fourth wall break? Brilliant.
We were dating for like 1, maybe 2 days.
2 days? That sounds pretty serious to me.
I was gonna say decades.
Oh, I see.
Still, for all its humor and visual charm, the episode highlights just how underdeveloped Carrie and Darwin's relationship really is. Yes, it's cute, but the story doesn't do anything meaningful with the couple, choosing instead to insert a random ex-boyfriend and rely on Gumball to carry the emotional weight.
Sure.
I'm glad we could stay friends after all this.
Hey,
That shift away from how their relationship affects them makes the whole thing feel hollow, especially when you consider that they were suddenly brought back in the Scam episode after a 4-year hiatus with no real payoff. This was the show's chance to justify why the Matchmaker episode mattered, and in that regard, it came up short. On a smaller note, I'm not a fan of how Carrie's backstory is being introduced this late in the game, both in this episode and in The Ghouls, just to squeeze out a few generic ghost jokes. It undermines previously established lore, making important character moments from episodes like The Mirror feel like afterthoughts.
Look what you've done! You've completely turned into ghosts!
which means I can finally do this!
It's also worth pointing out how much more could have been done with Carrie's character in this episode. For someone with a centuries-old backstory, it feels like the show continually chooses not to explore what makes her tick beyond her aesthetic or supernatural quirks. The drama had a unique opportunity to peel back a few layers. What draws her to Darwin beyond the contrast? What fears does she have about being in a relationship with someone who's very much alive? Even questions about how she sees her place in Elmore after all these years could have deepened her presence.
I can fly! I'm invisible! I feel awesome!
Wanna go dancing?
Dancing? We're ghosts, dude! We can do whatever we like!
Let's get out of here and go yes!
The ghost concept, too, holds plenty of dramatic and emotional potential. The idea of loving someone who might grow old while you remain the same is deeply compelling. While Gumball is always going to be first and foremost a comedy, it's handled complex themes before with surprising heart. It's disappointing that this wasn't one of those times. So yes, this episode has its strengths, and many of my issues are more about what it means in the larger context than the content itself. but those issues are too significant for me to ignore, and they drag down the experience overall. I see what the episode does well, but too much is undermined for me to fully enjoy it. But what did you think of Darwin and Carrie's relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you stayed till the end, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon so you never miss any of our future updates.